Hi, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. I think this is our first webinar this year, 2021. We've been busy with other things, upgrading contracts for most part. But we have Jeff Zwrin, who's raring to go, and he has some opinions regarding the how do you say that, Jeff?
Konnected Products.
Konnected Products. And hopefully, Jeff, I want you to make sure you start your webinar by telling everybody what the Konnected product is and what it does, because I don't want to assume that everybody knows what it is. Although
Sure.
I have a feeling that the audience today is a sophisticated one and those with a particular interest in the product. Everyone knows who Jeff is. And if you don't, he's an extremely well-known and well-regarded security expert. Technical guy, and has plenty of courtroom experience and recognition by lawyers, insurance companies, judges, and most importantly me, recognizes him. And so when he has something to say, you should be listening. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeff now so you can begin his presentation. And we'll take questions. Write them in. I'll read them to Jeff. Probably not as they come in, but as at the end, because Jeff is a very polished presenter, entertaining and informative. Jeff,
you taught me, Ken. You taught me.
That's a pretty high bar I just set for you, Jeff. So good luck.
Yeah, okay.
All right, here he goes. Jeff, you're on your own.
Great. Thank you. Let me just get the PowerPoint up. I don't see the PowerPoint. Okay, we're trying to get the PowerPoint up. There we go. Can you see it, Ken? Hold on.
Yes, I can see your PowerPoint.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff Zwrin. I'm a forensic alarm expert. I started doing my forensic work in 1980, and I built my first alarm system out of my home, my bedroom, Radio Shack 101 kit in 1969 when I was 9 years old. About a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, I found out about the Konnected products. Konnected is a product that is either self-contained or a standalone in tandem with a control panel set. And the idea is that you can use your existing system or something that may have been abandoned, and you can use the Konnected to make it a smart system. It does purport to have a list of home automation features. It connects to the system to the point of arming and disarming remotely. It can be installed do it yourself. It can be installed in a way that there are apparently some dealers that have signed up for Konnected and they can install it. And then over and above that, the system can be monitored, but the main platform of the product is a do-it-yourself product where the subscriber is contacted and or their emergency contacts. The product was started, I believe it was Kickstarter in 2017. Not sure if I got that date right. And then from that point, it's expanded. When I found the Konnected products online, I took a look at them, went through a lot of the tutorials by Nate Clark. Nate Clark has declined to do this webinar. I'm going to show you the email that he sent to myself and Ken as we go through it. If you don't know about Konnected products, I believe it's konnected.com or something close to that, and you'll pick it up. There's a tremendous amount of tutorials. They show their circuit boards. They show different versions of their circuit boards, and they give you a myriad of options. So I received a letter from Nate. I had communicated with Nate, I think starting in January of 2020 is when I started communicating about my concerns. And basically right here, let me just see here, minimize this. Okay, did we lose the PowerPoint? I guess we did. Hold on a second. Did we lose the PowerPoint? Let's go back. Laura? Give me just a minute. So I spoke to Nate back in January of 2020. I sent him an email. We had some communications. I talked about my concerns. And from that point, we're here. I believe, in my opinion, I believe, in my opinion, that the products are dangerous. I believe, in my opinion, that the products should not be installed, regardless of what Konnected has determined would be their product. Now, Konnected has said that this is not a burglar alarm product, and anything with regards to life safety would be for informational purposes only. But when you take a look at the presentation, which we're trying to get up right now, when you take a look at the presentation, you will see, okay, you will see that the actual product. Let's see if we can get this out. Yeah. Yeah. So you can see. Can you minimize this, Laura? Okay, here we go. So this is the letter that I received from Konnected, and basically, he has no objections to the discussion, but he believes, if you take a look at the second paragraph, I think that by framing the conversation as a debate, you've prematurely concluded that I would be disagreeing and we would be engaging in an adversarial discussion. Debates don't always have to be controversial. I've concluded nothing prematurely because I've been doing this forensically since 1980. This is based on my education, skill, knowledge, training, experience. Mr. Clark concedes that, in fact, most of your technical points are correct, so there wouldn't be much of a debate. I want to just read these paragraphs. I think they're important. Konnected is a consumer electronic smart home product, and we have never claimed to be more than that. As evidenced by the thousands of five-star reviews, testimonials, and emails that I've received personally from customers, there is strong demand for a DIY device that easily bridges wired systems with consumer smart platforms. We make clear that the Konnected alarm panel is not a life safety device and does not compare feature for feature to a traditional alarm system because it's not. Often our users are well aware of this, and a common refrain in our online review is works exactly as described. Regardless of how Konnected, in my opinion, wants to frame their product, the product is called an alarm panel. The idea that it makes an alarm system smart and that we're going to tie zones to it. Konnected tells you to disconnect the end-of-line resistors in one of their tutorials. It shows a 4-wire smoke without a power supervision relay. It's not listed. So we've got a product. We've got the founder admitting that my technical points, most of them are correct. I don't know which ones aren't correct. He didn't comment on that. But regardless if you want to call it a smart home product, if you look at HAI automation control panels of the past, they were listed regardless of what they called themselves. He further says, that being said, you have pointed out a few areas of improvement in our online documentation, which I've ready in the process of updating to ensure that we're crystal clear about the intended purpose and limitations of the Konnected product. If you're using this, connecting it to an alarm system, or you're connecting it to door sensors, magnetic contacts, motion detectors, glass break detectors, and smoke detectors, it doesn't matter how you term it, there are standards of care that all in the alarm industry must follow, whether it's a do-it-yourself product or it's not a do-it-yourself product. No one can come in and say this is a smart home product, therefore I don't have to comply with NFPA 72. The amount of instructions in the tutorial, in my opinion, is just demonstrates gross incompetence. There is no issue regarding supervision. They want you to take the siren, connect it to their output, and it's not supervised. There's no temporal 3 or 4. There is no battery backup that's required. It's an option. He says he always welcomes feedback and constructive criticism of his product. So on one hand, he's agreeing that most of my technical points are correct. At the same time, he's still selling the product. If a customer can connect to a Konnected product, a smoke detector, you can say for informational purposes only, you can say it's not a fire alarm, you can say it's not a burglar alarm, but it is, and it acts in that purpose. No one is connecting to a smoke alarm just for informational purposes only. They're connecting for life safety. No one's connecting to a security system for informational purposes only. We have smart home technology in the professional line of equipment that we sell. All of it is listed, as far as I know. If anyone has a product that's not listed, you can call that out. So this is his response, and I, quite frankly, was pretty surprised at this response. Okay, so let's go to the connected alarm panel starter kit. So again, the connected alarm panel starter kit is $99. Revive your wired alarm system and make it smart. In my opinion, the alarm systems are already smart. They do everything, and we're going to get into some of what I believe, in my opinion, are false claims. The connected alarm panel retrofits any wired alarm system for monitoring and control with smart home apps. Well, that's fine, but this is an alarm system. And if you take an alarm system, make it what it's not, or you try to adjunct to it, the product shall be listed. They're asking you even connect one of their products to the data bus. And if you've seen my other webinars and the other studies, that could be a recipe for disaster. They connect to all of these nationally recognized apps, and that's fine. But again, the product shall be listed, regardless of what you want to call it. Then they've got a new one, which is a connected alarm panel, alarm panel 2 add-on. It expands to unlimited amount of zones by adding more modules. It's a second generation, still the same problem. It's not listed. And there's a reason why it's not listed. It was not submitted. And someone, in my opinion, at Konnected believes that they can go around the requirements that all of us have to have, whether we're selling do-it-yourself or as a licensed alarm contractor, and just disregard the inherent safeguards that should be employed with any control unit, let alone a do-it-yourself product. And I believe in 1980, Radio Shack had a panel they sold. In 1980, it was listed under 1023 and 985. How is this smarter than that? If you take a look at the interface kit, you can see they're directly connecting aux power to the interface of their devices. You can connect it in parallel with any brand of wired alarm system. I don't know of any manufacturer that's agreed that you can connect this device to their product. When you connect this device to their product, in my opinion, you're avoiding the UL listing of the product. In addition to that, you're exposing the panel to a problem whereby something may fail and the customer would not be notified. If their interface board fails, according to their instructions, if it gets a surge or if it fails, the siren may be locked in a sustained mode in the on or off position. That in and of itself is pretty scary for an alarm company or a consumer, because the last thing we want to find out is during an emergency, the siren doesn't sound. Again, according to Mr. Clark, this is not an alarm system. I think that's a silly position. Talk about the millions of homes. Customers had to pay up to $100 a month. In my opinion, that's a false claim. They say alarm systems are never used. They're inconvenient. They're ineffective or too expensive to maintain. In my opinion, that's a false claim. So you're taking the alarm information of what we've built, over the past 150 years, and a person comes in with a product and it's not listed, and all of a sudden it's better than the standard of care. Anyone that wants to sell a do-it-yourself product is fine, but they have to meet the requirements in the building and fire codes. Regardless of what says here, the consumer does not know about the fire codes. They don't know about the building codes. The manufacturer has to provide a product in the stream of commerce that complies with NEC and is listed for its intended purpose. I think it's great that Smart Things and Home Assistant and Habitat and OpenApp are there, but we're talking about the actual unit. If that unit fails, it can take the system down. Now, the next statement, again, in my opinion, is a false claim. Most traditional alarm systems are limited to 8 or 12 zones, forcing installers to group multiple sensors together into a zone. Wrong. We can go many more, and the Concorde, for example, has had 96 zones, I believe. Honeywell panels have anywhere from 128 to 255. Where is this coming from? Where is the source of this information? This is infinitively wrong. It's great that you can expand these things for granular visibility into each and every door, window, motion, and other sensors in your home, but it's not listed. So there's no reliability. They say it's not for life safety, but you can see it works with all wired security systems, and they've got smoke and CO detectors. So you're going to connect the smoke and a CO detector off a listed product, and you're going to put it on a non-listed product. And if it fails, what are you going to do? People can be seriously injured. People can die. It doesn't have the inherent safeguards that a listed panel has. Remember, UL is a minimum standard. This does not even meet minimum standards. Again, call it whatever you want. You notice they've got door window contacts, motion sensors, PE beam detectors. I don't know how many of you are installing PE beams inside a home, alarm siren, strobe light, smoke and CO detectors. It's very clear what they're trying to represent. They can change it, but they've got customers that are relying on it. Or why would they connect the smoke detectors? If it was for informational purposes only, why connect the smoke detectors? Why tell the customers you can connect to the smoke detectors? Now, in the state of Florida, I reached out to a fire marshal yesterday, and Michael Long, and he's in fire marshal's office, and he confirmed what I knew, which is no product can be sold in the state of Florida unless it's listed by an NRTL, nationally recognized testing laboratory, pursuant to the National Electrical Code. It's a building code requirement. And people in the alarm industry know that. People that are making this product, apparently they have some alarm advisors. I don't know who they are. I offered them to come on this debate because I'd rather have their point of view. Apparently they agree that most of the things I'm saying are correct. If anyone has any information, please send again where I'm wrong. I'm glad to correct myself or support my opinions. The systems that I've investigated since 1980, anytime there's a system that's not listed, that is going to be the focus of the investigation as phase one to determine if that was a proximate cause of the damages. If you're installing non-listed products, Ken will give you an idea about how that can affect the reliability of your contract, or more importantly, the enforceability. And just so you know, other states have similar requirements. For example, in New Jersey, we cannot do anything to endanger the welfare, safety, and health of another. So if we take a non-listed product and we tie life safety onto it, and we tie security onto it, in my opinion, we're doing something that endangers the welfare, safety, and health of another. Technical advice is prohibited from a person or company who is not licensed as an alarm contractor in the state of Florida for do-it-yourself products. And by the way, central stations have to be licensed in Florida. And there's a question now, are they aiding and abetting an unlicensed contractor? Again, it's not a contractor manufacturer who has a non-listed product. If you're installing products, whether it's residential or commercial, and they're not listed by some NRTL, Intertech, UL, you do so at your own consequences. There's a certain standard of care that no one can change. Now, some of the things that do-it-yourself products, by the way, are not excluded. Some of the comments that Nick has made is that his company has received 5-star ratings, but 5-star ratings do not circumvent the National Electrical Codes. I don't care if he has 100-star ratings. This system doesn't meet the standard of care. Circuits are told not to be supervised. Take the resistors off or use them somewhere else. What about the house that we're trying to provide detection and protection for? Is that important? And again, the 5-star ratings, there's no nexus to what the standard of care is, because in my opinion, Konnected doesn't know what the standard of care is, or clearly they would have submitted their products like I've submitted my products. So again, the people in the best position to list the products are either Nate Clark at Konnected or one of his so-called alarm advisors. Don't know who they are. But I think that when you look at this concept of that ratings equate to reliability or compliance or conformity, it's nonsense. 5-star ratings do not circumvent listing by an NRTL. Again, people can be happy, but if something goes wrong and someone is seriously injured or killed, I don't know how happy they're going to be. More importantly, on a listed household fire system that complies with NFPA 72, we have north of a 90% reliability factor. So what do we have here? We're taking the Konnected is telling the subscriber, take the siren off the panel, and we're going to give you, I believe, 1.3 or 1.4 amps, 1400 milliamps, and we just slap your siren on there. But where's the supervision on the indicating notification appliance? There's nothing. We have nothing. And again, is this parallel? If it draws too much current, that's another way this module shuts down. There's also a comment in one of the tutorials where if the system's not working, You put your hand on the unit. If it's very hot, it's probably needs to be replaced. Okay, great. Who's going to do that? There's also a recommendation that if you can't turn your siren off, they recommend a toggle switch in series with the siren. I don't know about you. I haven't seen that done for probably over 30 years. I know it's out there, but this is clearly not trying. This is not making the system smart. If that switch gets high resistance or if it's left off, you know the end result. And by having a toggle switch, you also know that it can't be supervised, because if you flipped it off, it should go in trouble if the end of line resistor was in parallel. So again, 5-star ratings are great, but people get alarm systems pretty much for the same reason. They're trying to minimize their exposure to the criminal element, and they're trying to minimize and save their own lives in the event of a fire or carbon monoxide leak. In my opinion, this system should not be sold. If they want to sell it, they've got to list it. If they want to connect it to a panel, they've got to get the manufacturer to work with them to do that. They can't just blindly tell customers to connect this equipment, because this interface is drawing current. It's on the data bus. I've talked about the data bus, and it can shut down the system. Again, no supervision. 5-star ratings do not circumvent licensing laws. There are plenty of alarm companies with 5-star ratings, but they still have to be licensed, insured. They have to comply with the standard of care. They have to comply with their licensing regulations. There are licensing laws in Florida, New Jersey. You just can't make something and say it's an alarm system, an alarm panel, and then when you're challenged, say, oh no, it's not an alarm system. It's not an alarm system. It can be connected to a central station. We can have installers put it in for you. It triggers a siren. It triggers a strobe light. It connects to intrusion detection devices, for example, like sensors we'd find in UL 639. Contacts, PE beams, all these things. That's great, but it's not an alarm system. So if anyone thinks it's not an alarm system, please tell me the basis of that. I mean, this just is, again, in my opinion, just utter nonsense. 5-star ratings do not circumvent any adopted building and fire code, including NFPA 72. So if the smoke detectors are in the home, there's no, they say you should blow smoke into it. There's no professional checking this smoke detector under UL 268. 72 requires a yearly inspection. We don't know how old these smoke detectors are, and we can blow smoke into it as long as you want, and we have no idea if it's really going off in accordance with what we'd expect with the device that's required to detect both the visible and invisible particles of combustion based on NFPA 72. So, connect to these devices, get rid of the resistors, get the siren off the control unit, because it's expensive and it's $100 a month. Again, who's charging $100 a month for a residential system? And they're not difficult to maintain if customers will pay to maintain them. So the idea that because they're abandoned, that they have no value and this so-called product is going to save the day, again, in my opinion, is a false claim. So going back to the general opinions, no alarm contractor can purchase a product that's not listed, sell it to a consumer, whether it's for security or life safety, and then not disclose what they're doing. Clearly, if a customer knew that the panel didn't comply with standards that were on Radio Shack's products back in 1980, I think that would be an important thing for them to know. If the customer knew that none of the manufacturers referenced have approved or authorized this non-listed product to be connected to it, I think they need to know that. And if the inherent safeguards are there and the customer doesn't know it and the siren doesn't sound, what can the consequences be? If a burglar runs into someone in the house, I've had cases where someone was in the home and the burglar didn't think they were. There was a dangerous confrontation. Somebody was assaulted. Someone was killed as a result of that. So in the security business, Konnected, we take our job very seriously. We do it a certain way because we want to help minimize loss. If the heart of the system, so to speak, or the brain of the system is non-conforming to the minimum standard of care, in my opinion, there's a high propensity for failure. In the alarm industry, we try to stay away from that by using listed products, by following industry standards. Before this product was put in the stream of commerce, someone should have recognized what needs to be in place. If the product has what needs to be in place, that's a different story. But by no stretch of Konnected's imagination can they meet the standard of care, nor can they tell me with a straight face or anyone else that it's not an alarm system. And that's essentially what I'm looking for. I'm looking for customers to have informed choices and companies that are selling these products that are violating the building and fire codes, regardless of what they say, in my opinion, should be held accountable. Just like we're held accountable if we do something wrong. Of course, with Ken's contract, maybe that'll be minimized. But at the end of the day, in order to keep the standards to the minimum standard of care, we have to pay attention to these other products. I looked at the product with an open mind. I was hoping to find something that maybe I wasn't aware of. I've looked at many products. In this particular case, this failed all my tests because it doesn't meet what needs to be met, and it takes a supervised siren, for example, and puts it on a non-listed, non-supervised device. Telling a customer to get rid of the end-of-line resistors on either normally open and normally closed circuits, you've got to be kidding me. Having a photograph of how to connect a smoke detector and a common and normally closed connection with no power supervision relay? Really? And that's the end of the line. So what else is out there? Take a look at their videos. Again, you can see that Nate, who is Mr. Clark, who is making these videos, he loves what he's doing, but he's not following our standard of care. If it was just home automation, it would still need to be recognized by some NRTL, the products that we use on a professional basis. But a lot of the things the products do, like remotely turn the alarm on and off, we've got Total Connect, we've got Alarm.com, we've got other providers that are doing it through the listed process. We can get all the information their product can get through the listed process. These are things that consumers do not know. They take the marketing information, they rely on the representations that companies like Konnected makes, and they expect those representations to be true. In my opinion, based on my forensic investigation, there are a lot of false claims. I don't know what Mr. Clark believes is not technically accurate. The products are basically, they're working on a level that we haven't seen, in decades. Again, Radio Shack, 1980-81 listed product. Konnected, 2017, whatever the date was they started, to now still not listed. How is that possible? So what I'm trying to do is look at products. If there's something that's great, you're going to hear about it. If there's something that doesn't meet the standard of care, that in my opinion puts the safety and security and the welfare of a customer at risk, you're also going to hear about it. I don't know who these alarm companies are that are connecting or using these products. I don't know who the central station is, but I have to tell you that if there's a loss, the first thing I do is I go to the control unit. If I see this product in the control unit, it's not listed, and it was selected and recommended by an alarm company, and resistors were cut out, and smoke detectors are connected to it, what do you think is going to happen when something fails? Do you think that Konnected can come up and say, no, it's not an alarm system, it's just a home automation system? So that's right off the bat, in my opinion, a false claim. Regardless of him changing language, that's great. And that he's happy about my enthusiasm, that's great. And when he heard that I wanted to do a seminar, he said the alarm industry must be nervous. No, Mr. Clark, we're not nervous. We're nervous about the poor subscribers, the consumers who don't have the foggiest idea that your product doesn't meet 1980-81 Radio Shack standards, let alone UL and NFPA standards. The debate, if you had something to say, you should have said it. You agreed with me, and you're still selling the product. So how is that professional? How is a different opinion adversarial? Everyone does debates. I gave you an opportunity. I gave your alarm advisors an opportunity. Zip, not a nothing. Just like your product, in my opinion. It's garbage. It needs to be taken off the market. All the customers that have the product, in my opinion, need to be refunded. And when you get a listed product and you get approval from these companies that you're using their name, NAPCO, Honeywell, all these products you're using, where's their approval? You're blindly going into the product. You're connecting to things that you don't understand the criticality for, and that's okay because customers want that. Customers want reliability. Customers want safety, and they want security. Otherwise, there'd be no purpose for your product because home automation without the security is not how your product is being sold. So I'm glad to direct you to the right way or refer you to someone else that can, and I wouldn't even charge you for it. But I got to tell you, this is not safe. It's not reliable, in my opinion. And something has to be done to hold these people accountable. Now, the state of Florida has told me what I knew regarding the NEC. I don't know where they're going to land on that and regarding giving the technical advice. You shouldn't be giving technical advice when you really have no expertise in the alarm industry at all. I haven't seen any education, skill, knowledge, training, experience, no alarm association membership, no licensure, never worked for an alarm company, nothing. And this is a problem. In this industry, we cannot afford to put products in that are inferior. And in my opinion, this product is a gross failure of technology when it ties to an alarm system, or when it's called an alarm panel. You have failed to meet the standard of care. You've put your customers at risk, in my opinion, and something has to be done. You continue to sell the products, but you still agree with me on most of what I said. Maybe you're not hearing me. And again, your customers may be very happy. Thank God no one's been injured, killed by fire, burglary, whatever. That's the risk that we run in the alarm industry. And we do everything we can through training, through licensure, through continuing education to try to minimize that. There's no perfect alarm company, but if we're starting up with a product that's not listed, OMG, we've got a big problem. It is alarming, pun intended, and it's not something that we want to deal with because we cannot afford for a system to fail when we can design a system that has so many inherent safeguards and can do many of the things your products do. Arm, disarm, get text, push forward messages, central station, not central station. The monthly fee is not $100 a month. The idea that we're limited to 8 or 12 zones, you need to go back and look how long we've had 90 zones, 100 zones, 255 zones, where you're getting your information from, because what you're saying is erroneous. This is something that, in my mind, someone didn't pay attention to the details, and the details matter in the professional and technical community of the alarm industry. Ken, I'm glad to answer any questions.
Okay. We have a couple of things here. I want to, first I want to clarify something for myself. I was listening, I'm not in the alarm industry, so you'll have to excuse me. But let me ask you this. So your objection is, I think, twofold. One, this product has not sought any approval by any of the national recognized testing labs, correct?
That's correct.
That's the first problem. It hasn't sought approval, which you think it should. And two, I gather it's your opinion that if it sought approval, it wouldn't get approval because it has certain deficiencies that you recognize.
That is correct. They may be able to get approval to some degree. Can you stop sharing the screen so I can see you and you can see me?
What do you mean? Oh,
I can't. That's fine. I
can't
can't.
you see me?
No, we're blocked. We just
Okay,
got.
1 second.
That's all right. If you can't do it, well, let me see. That's nice.
Kick you out.
How's that?
Yeah, well, I got kicked out. Let me just see here.
Are you mute? Maybe you closed your own video. I see it.
Yeah.
Oh, someone wrote to me, it looked like I got hit in the head. That's just like. Okay.
Well, as long as you can see me, Ken, that's fine. I
can see you. Can you see me?
I cannot. I see someone's desktop. Looks like yours.
Someone's desktop.
Coin in there, Ken. You didn't
Anyway,
tell me. That's okay. Yes, that's correct. Again, if you're going to put a product out, it's my opinion that this product have a really tough time getting listed because it's taking critical function of the system off the listed product. And no battery backup.
What is it?
What system has an optional no battery backup?
So what critical function is it taking off of the manufactured product?
It's taking the siren off. It's taking supervision of the siren off. It's taking the underlying resistors out. It's tying to a panel, the data bus of the panel, that could actually shut the system down because everything's in parallel. And it doesn't require battery backups an option. The battery pack that they've got doesn't comply with 72. It's not a UL listed power supply. They're using something that basically is a power supply that is like a universal power supply that has really not much standby time. There are reasons we do the things we're doing. So by creating their own little alarm panel, even though they say it's not an alarm system, it's not designed to be an alarm system, which again, in my opinion, is nonsense. They're taking a panel that could have all the supervision and safeguards, and they're telling customers, disconnect the resistors. Why, Ken? Because their product cannot work with a resistor on the loop. Otherwise, why would they say that? Same thing with the siren.
Why would a customer be attracted to this product? What does this product promise that would attract the customer or an alarm company to recommend it?
Yeah, I think what it does is it's very heavy on the home automation, or at least says it's very heavy in regards to turning lights on and off, controlling other things through internationally recognized apps. So that, I think, is attraction for customers that the alarm industry may not do a great job at talking about. But again, it's basically providing with home automation functions. That's great. You know, for example, you walk in front of a motion detector and the light can go on, the light in the room. That's great. But again, let's get down to the core fundamentals. When you put names up there like these internationally recognized companies, it adds credibility to the product, quite frankly.
Okay, we have a long, I don't know if it's a question or a statement by Don McGinnis. So I'll just try reading it. It is so disgusting that in some of these industries are allowing this complete ignorance of recognized codes and standards meant to assure that IDS and life safety fire alarm systems, which originally conformed, then completely ignored for the sake of smart home convenience by a DIY consumer who assumes that products like this comply with these codes and standards, which are the benchmark. I'm getting there, one second, which are the benchmark to assure best performance when there is actually fire or intrusion. Using wordsmithing by slick marketing tactics, as shown, basically covers this company and not their customer, who ties into a system that met those codes and standards. Jeff nails it. That standard of care is not met. Wake up, industry. Okay, thank you. That's a comment. We don't have any questions yet. Does anyone have any other questions that they want Jeff to address about this product?
Yeah, Ken, I think one of the things the industry doesn't do a good job of, let me just comment on that, is we don't provide a counter message to products like this. We now know the product is not listed. We know it's being sold in many different ways. And there's got to be a counter message. If you're looking for a connected product, I believe the professional and technical community of the alarm industry needs to try to educate these consumers, because without a response, it's going to be really hard for a consumer to find out what someone at an expert level or in the industry would know to find out. So we see these products coming and going, and you know, it's very troubling because, again, when something goes wrong, everything we're talking about is going to be looked at. There's no checks and balances. There's no independent testing. This is what the industry has done, you know, for as long as I've been in, and of course before. For example, the first edition of UL 636, which is on panic and hold up buttons, the first edition was published in 1933. So, you know, you've got all these things. If the smoke detectors are T-tapped for whatever reason, customer's not going to know what that means. Surely, I don't see Konnected knowing what it means. And if there's no power supervision relay and the smoke detector loses power, we're getting no alarm, no detection. Keypad shows everything's normal. Whatever app you're using shows everything's normal. That is not going to do it. And until the alarm industry provides a counter message and educates the public, this is the only message they're going to see. And you know, if anyone believes this is not an alarm system, please chime in. I'd like to know how this is not an alarm system. Also, what are their opinions regarding this product? Does anyone have a different opinion or a similar opinion that we can hear from someone, you know, attending today? Because I'm glad to respond to it or listen to it.
Here's a question. How does this compare to your analysis of SimpliSafe, and why hasn't the CPSC taken action if it's so bad?
Well, you know, I think one of the problems with the CPSC,
who's that? Who is
the
that?
litmus test of
whether
it's bad or not. But
wait. Who is the
I'm sorry?
CPS? Who is CPSC?
Consumer Product Safety Commission.
Oh,
So, you're talking about a product, the CPSC does recall a lot of products. There are alarm products on there, but regardless if they recall it or not, doesn't mean you can violate the standard of care because you haven't been caught yet. Simply Safe is a non-listed panel as well. So I wrote something about that in 2016. I still stand by it today. Never got a response. They just pushed me down to who knows what page, but the article means something. If you're talking about, your products you're talking like you invented the alarm industry, your product at a minimum should be listed. It should have temporal 3 and 4. It should have other features. So again, just because a product is not recalled doesn't mean it's not dangerous. If you're telling me that the litmus test is that if it's recalled, it's a problem, but if it's not recalled, you can still sell non-listed products, I defy you to show me any support from that, from any authority having jurisdiction in the United States. It's not the way it works.
let me, since we don't have another question at the moment, let me ask you to present something that you're the best at. Why don't you give us a very simple scenario of a loss that could occur and why it would be, the focus would be on this connected product in that scenario?
Sure. So we have a customer that had an existing system. They put in connected based on what they represented to the public. Most fatal fires happen between 11 and 6 a.m. In this case, a fire occurs and the person gets out, but they're seriously injured. The siren never goes off. Forensic investigation determines that the device that connected wants the siren connect to has failed. There's no warning, there's nothing. So the focus now is we've got a non-listed product on a life safety system, call it whatever you want. And as a result of a non-conforming product, that was the proximate cause of her damages and the family's damages, because had the siren sounded, there's a likelihood that she'd be able to escape and the family be able to escape without being seriously burned. So, but for the system being silent, the damages either would have been eliminated or, dramatically minimized. A burglary occurs in a home, and the device fails because of the way it's configured. There's no supervision. The wire shorted out in the wall. Happens. Staple goes through the wire. They break in and they clean out the premises, and they take out a safe with $1 million of jewelry in there, $500,000 of jewelry. The focus is going to be is why did the system fail? So we've got to look at that forensically, which is the application of science to legal matters, and look at that. Carbon monoxide. The alarm goes off, but there's really no differentiation in the sound. The do-it-yourself product is for informational purposes only, but carbon monoxide will kill you or make you very sick. And there's a failure in the product. It's not supervised. The loop, there's a failure there. And carbon monoxide levels increase. Someone dies or is seriously injured. The reason for that is the product itself failed. And but for the product being installed, the likelihood would have worked based on a UL standard panel, a panel that's compliant with UL standards, and NFPA 72. So when we're doing an investigation, we're looking for, is there anything in the alarm system that was a proximate cause of the damages? Is the system compliant? Was it properly installed? Was it properly designed? Was it properly tested? Was it properly maintained? Here, the centerpiece of the case is going to be on this connected product because it's taking the panel and it's riding on the panel. And
So I have an alarm system in my house, Bergen Fire. It's in my house. I have a panel. It's professionally monitored. I don't have alarm.com products in the house, although maybe I'd like to. But why would I be attracted? Why would I ever think to connect this to my alarm system, or I just would never need it?
I mean, if you wanted some home automation features and you thought you could do it through your alarm system as directed, as guided by Konnected, maybe you would want it, but it's a do-it-yourself product. If you don't want to do it yourself, maybe you'd find an alarm company to throw it in there for you. But again, it's about the home automation feature and being able to control things. We can do that another way. Alarm.com is an excellent way to do it. Total Connect is an excellent way to do it. And these are listed products. NAPCO can do it with their radios. We can arm, disarm, and get other information depending on what we're doing. So
Yeah, I have some home automation in my house. It has nothing to
Okay.
do with my alarm system.
exactly. And that's basically the centerpiece of home automation, except for companies like HAI, which is no longer in business, owned by Leviton, Leviton,
Yeah.
and it was part of the system. It tied into, for example, a whole house, home automation system. You were able to link it, but the product was listed. You're right. You don't need it for home automation, but this company has decided that it's important, and they're not going to make it self-contained. They made a conscious decision to make it part of the alarm system. And as a result of that, and as a result of not looking at the listing requirements, this is where our problem is. You already have home automation. Do you want to do it outside your house? Can you control it remotely, Ken?
Some of my stuff, yeah, I think so.
Right.
Through the
So
internet.
the idea with this product is for people that want that control, you can tie it in with alarm information within this app. Well, that's great. But again, in order to have reliability, and which the most important part of an alarm system is reliability, everything has to be listed. It's not a selective process. It's not an option. If you took your smoke detectors, let's say your alarm company bought this product and connected to your smoke detectors, and there was no supervision because that's what they tell you to do. And something fails, and I find there's no power supervision relay on the smokes and no end of line resistors on normally open, in parallel, normally closed in series. Let's assume it's a case for you, Ken. What's your position from a legal position? They've got a contract with you, but they've got non-conforming, non-listed products. Are they able to still be protected by that contract when it's determined that the products don't comply with the building and fire code that are adopted by statute?
Depends on, actually, in that case, it would depend on how they described it in their schedule of equipment and services. But let me ask you this. We have a question from a very important client who I haven't heard from in a while. Are there any DIY systems that are listed?
Yes, I believe Ring's listed, and I think there's a couple others that are listed.
Okay, so there's two comments here. The system is not safe. It is not an alarm panel. It should be removed from the commerce stream, while prior users should immediately be refunded in full. Okay, here's
Right.
another
I
one.
mean,
Wait, let me finish this one. Many, if not every alarm company uses products by a well-known company out of New York, such as power supplies, siren drivens, and other accessories that are not listed. What's the big deal? They seem to work without any issues.
well, the only big deal is when there's a loss and you've got first of all, Altronics, if that's what you're talking about, does make listed products. Your choice to get non-listed products is your choice. But the big deal is that if you're connecting for security and life safety and something fails and the alarm system in and of itself, implicitly or explicitly, is designed to detect something that otherwise you wouldn't know about, or an emergency that you only have 3 minutes of house to get out, it's a big deal. If nothing ever happens, well, that's great, but that's not reality. I've been investigating cases since 1980, and I've seen all kinds of systems fail. Sometimes it's methodology, sometimes it's the equipment. Does the alarm industry want to take that risk when there are other products that are listed? I don't think any prudent alarm company or licensed contractor would want to get involved with this product just because it has home automation. Because what they're telling people to do is completely in reverse to what the professional community does.
Well, here's a comment from Peter Goldring. When Konnected was first released, I spoke with the company's CEO. As an industry expert myself, I have reviewed Jeff's analysis and completely concur with his findings. As an active volunteer firefighter in Mammoth County, New Jersey, we respond to hundreds of calls per year. False and nuisance alarms not only put responding firefighters at risk, they put other homeowners at increased risk because resources are wasted.
I mean, there's no false alarm.
Let me just finish. The AHJs are part of helping to keep inferior equipment out of consumer markets. Okay, that's it. That's what he had to say.
Yeah. So thank you, Peter. I mean, I think the issue is that what I was saying before is there's no false alarm proof system. There's no system that's going to give us 100% reliability. But when we put something like this in, we're creating a serious weakness in the footprint of what a professionally installed system would have. And this is where the problem is. You know, there are certain things, for example, you really can't find a smoke detector that's not listed by a nationally recognized testing laboratory. Same thing for a carbon monoxide detector. So to rely so heavily on the initiating device and then not to worry about some add-on part that NAPCO and Honeywell, I've never seen any approval or any of these companies approving this product. I mean, alarm.com, at least there's a relationship between alarm.com and these panel manufacturers where they embed their technology and they work together. And, you know, they're doing something that this product could never get there because it shouldn't be touching that panel. It shouldn't be connected to that panel. And I don't mean, no pun intended there. So,
Here's another
big
comment.
deal is only when there's a loss. If there's never a loss, well, that's great. But again, why do we want to buy that risk? We're essentially making a decision that this product is as good or better than a listed product. And that decision, if an alarm company installs this, Ken, versus what else was available, don't they have responsibility if it fails and it's not listed?
All right, this is a problem the industry needs to address and integrators need to understand their association with these products. Where is ESA on this? Do they support these unlisted systems? ESA,
Well, I think the answer is no. If someone says yes, I'd like to, I highly doubt it that any of these networks, because the majority of the companies, think of all the companies that sell products, universally follow our standard of care. Product is blindly going into a home with some panel. We don't know if there's any problems with the system, but we do know that when we connect it, any chance of supervision is gone. And that includes life safety. So again, you know, we've got companies saying, you know, alarm system, this is for informational purposes. That's not how we sell alarm systems because we know they are reliable to the extent humanly possible based on nationally recognized industry standards and best practices. You know, not everyone is looking at these products. I think if an alarm company or an association looks at it, we should have a counter message. If you agree or you disagree, there should be a counter message because you're someone that you know could actually be buying these products directly and connecting them and making a profit. And, you know, what happens when there's a loss? You know, we can't eliminate loss, but we surely can minimize it. We know that a professionally installed system, properly designed, configured, inspected, tested, maintained, does save lives. We know that. And it minimizes death. So why would we want to take that link and make it weak and make a product that was never intended to be there? If this product wants to be an alarm system, call it an alarm panel, make your own alarm panel, you know, which you can use it as a self-pin device. But again, that's the brain of the system. Do you want a brain of a system that doesn't meet what Radio Shack was doing in 1980, 1981? I think the answer is very clear.
Here's an observation that may clear it up. A big assumption is being made that the alarm company is installing the system to code to begin with, and that is not the case in most cases. Our home alarm systems using listed fire alarm wire and electrical back boxes, are they meeting the stated instructions in the manuals?
Right, so let's talk about that. There are definitely systems that are not installed properly. No question about it. But firewall,
that's what keeps you in business, so to speak.
I'm sorry?
That keeps you in business, part of it anyway.
Right, and it keeps you in business. So let's talk about that. Firewire is, you know, it's important to have, and you know, if there's existing wire, then you use firewire. That's incorrect, but the smoke detector is still supervised, right? And back boxes are important, but again, is a back box going to cause the smoke detector to fail? At least there's some, or there was some inspection process. You know, to take a broad stroke of the brush and say every alarm system is not installed properly, you know, you haven't seen enough alarm systems. I've seen plenty of bad alarm systems, okay, weren't properly installed. But at least we have the premise that the products are listed. If the systems are not being installed properly, those companies will eventually, you know, there's going to be a loss. It's just a matter of time. And I think that in the alarm industry, and I think Ken would agree that the better standards that we follow helps minimize our liability. If we select a product that's a problem, you know, it's going to come back to us because we made the choice. And if the choice was wrongly made and there was no due diligence done on the product and they disregarded it because the customer said, I want this product, you know, I think, you know, it's going to amplify, it's going to magnify where your exposure is. Ken, if I can buy a listed product or a non-listed product, what are you telling the audience today? Are you saying that there's no difference in I'm asking rhetorically, liability? Let's just talk about the liability.
Yeah, of course. You want to go with what's listed, what's approved, what's customary. Okay. I want to thank Jeff for his passion and for his presentation. I want to thank everyone for attending. We've reached the end of the line, so to speak. Yes, this was recorded and will be available on the Kirschenbaum and Kirschenbaum website. So you'll be able to see it over and over again. And also compare Jeff to his earlier presentations on this forum. You can, you know, see how he's progressed or
regressed.
Although he doesn't have gray hair yet, but I think he's probably going to get close pretty soon.
I'm just happy to have hair, Ken.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So anyway, thank you, Jeff, and thanks everybody for attending. And I'm going to close the webinar now, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.